Hey everyone, welcome back to RacquetGuys. Today we are hitting with the new Babolat Pure Aero Rafa and comparing it against the 2023 Pure Aero. Before we get started, hit those like and subscribe buttons to keep up with all our latest content. Let's go. While the 2019 versions of the Pure Aero and the Pure Aero Rafa are identical in spec, the 2023 models are not. The 2023 Pure Aero Rafa is 10 grams lighter at 290 grams unstrung, is less head light at 1 points head light, and is none of the dampening NF2 technology that is present in the regular stock Pure Aero. The changes made should give the Rafa more of a feeling of being connected to the ball, while the stock Pure Aero will probably feel a bit more familiar to most players. Let's get these two on the court and we'll see how they compare. Having just recently hit with the Origin, I was pretty sure that I was going to enjoy hitting with the lighter, more accessible version of the Pure Aero Rafa. From the baseline, I immediately enjoyed that stability and plow through that the more head-heavy balance provides, while not being nearly as heavy or demanding as the Origin. Compared to the stock Pure Aero, however, I felt that the Rafa was really lacking in comfort. While I can definitely appreciate that feeling of being a lot more connected to the ball, the lighter weight meant that there was just so much more shock and vibration coming through the frame at contact, and I was actually feeling it quite a lot in my elbow after only an hour. The stock Aero, with its more headlight balance and included dampening technology, was much more comfortable and really didn't cause me any stress and was still very stable, although not as stable as the Rafa in my mind. While I did not particularly like that lack of comfort in the Rafa, I did enjoy the overall pace and depth that I was able to generate. As I said in my review of the Origin, the more head-heavy balance is something that I would actually like to explore a little bit more on my own frames. And hitting with the Rafa makes me even more curious to try customizing my frames to have less of a headlight balance and a bit more of a heavy swing weight. Another small but important thing here was the launch angle on the Rafa. I generally have always struggled when trying to flatten out my swing with any Pure Aero, regardless of the generation. With the Rafa though, I really did not find this to be an issue at all. Flattening the ball out came quite easy for me, and I really felt like I could kind of bully Richard around the court more with the Rafa than I could with the regular Pure Aero. At the net, I feel like the Rafa is missing a bit of weight to really give it a solid, forgiving feel. When making good, clean contact, the Rafa felt much easier and much more solid, but the difference maker for me was that lack of forgiveness when I wasn't making clean contact. Even with that more head-heavy balance, the Rafa really is still only 290 grams, and I felt like anything outside the center of the frame here was just punished a little bit more than with the regular Pure Aero. One area of my game that kind of stood out to me as being particularly nice with the Rafa was actually my serving. I felt like the Rafa was coming through contact really nicely, and even with that higher swing weight, I felt like I had great command both of location and spin. Whether it be a kick serve, slice, flat, whether going wide or tee, really felt like I had good command. The standard Pure also felt fantastic on serve, but I felt just slightly more confident, especially on my flatter serves with the Rafa. Overall, I think the Rafa is a great frame for those who want to capture a bit of how Rafa plays. With that higher swing weight and less dampening tech, you can really dictate play from the back while still feeling very connected to the ball. However, that feeling does come at a bit of a cost, and I think that while the regular Pure Aero can be used by pretty much any player of any skill level, the Rafa does require a little bit more timing and technique to really fully maximize. And it's definitely more suited to intermediate to advanced level players. For myself, I think I still prefer the regular standard Pure Aero 2023, but with a couple tweaks to the specs of the Rafa, I think it could be something truly special.
Coming to this playtest of the Pure Aero Rafa 2023 versus the Pure Aero 2023, I was quite worried about how these frames would compare, especially with the Rafa 2023 only being 290 grams compared to the Aero 2023 at 300, but I was very much surprised with how this went. Ground strokes, these two frames were quite different. I noticed that there was a big difference in power, the launch angle, and the feel upon impact. Lighter frames, they tend to have a higher swing weight in order to compensate for the lack of mass in the frame, which would greatly improve the amount of plow through when striking the ball. Even with the swing weight of 324, I noticed that the Rafa did lack stability when not striking the ball cleanly and was not nearly as forgiving as the Pure Aero. I found that when I was making clean contact with the ball, you can definitely feel a difference in comfort and the shape of the ball you were hitting off the string bed. The Rafa had a much lower launch angle paired with a more raw feeling in the frame, which did not have as much vibration dampening, whereas the Aero offered a greater amount of power with a softer feel upon impact. The ball does come off the string bed a little higher compared to the Rafa, so if you're looking to flatten out some of your shots, you will definitely have an easier time with the Rafa. I know I sure most definitely did. When it came to serving, I definitely wish the Rafa was heavier. I was able to still hit a pretty aggressive second serve that has some decent movement to it, but unfortunately, I couldn't get the same amount of power when it came to hitting a flatter first serve. I found that with the Rafa having more of the weight in the head, that it traveled great through the air, but once making contact with the ball, it just felt it was lacking a little bit of mass to really actually give you that little bit of extra oomph on the first serve compared to heavier frames like the Aero. Volleys, I would have to say, was my least favorite part of the Rafa, especially after hitting ground strokes with this particular frame. When at the net, the Rafa just didn't have the same stability it did when hitting ground strokes. I really was able to feel the racket get pushed around on heavier shots coming in. Surprisingly, the frame still felt solid upon impact. Volleys felt good off the string bed, but the frame just wasn't able to keep up even with having a decently high swing weight and a stiffness of 68. I really feel that's where if the frame just was a little bit heavier like the Aero, that this issue would be solved. Having to choose between these two frames, I would probably still have to go with the Pure Aero Rafa. Although it's definitely something that I would have to customize, I personally still prefer a frame that has a lower launch angle, which provides me with a much more solid, responsive feeling frame. But if you're a player looking for a racket that provides more power, a higher launch angle, and a more dampened feel, I would have to recommend you try the Babolat Pure Aero 2023.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you have any questions about either the Pure Aero Rafa 2023 or the regular Pure Aero 2023, or if you have any suggestions of rackets that you want to see us review in the future, let us know down in the comments below. As always, both the Pure Aero Rafa and the Pure Aero 2023 are available online at our RacquetGuys website. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.